Hey guys, let's talk about how to get around London with public transport. There are 5 ways to do that. And here's the important thing. There are 9 million people in London. Million people. So imagine if 9 million people had to get on a car and drive. That'd be impossible. That's why public transport is important. It's always understated, okay? And then the network connection between various points is also understated. So we're going to talk about that today. Again, this is an important video for people traveling. Okay, again, if you're traveling to London, you're a visitor, you need to watch this video. If you just love transport, public transport, you're in London already, and you can see how that works around. This video is also important. It tells you how best to save money, best way to go around. Again, from tests, from security standpoint, some things are important. So I'll talk about that. Okay, I'll talk about the positives, the negatives of each, pros and cons of each method. Okay, depending on where you're coming from. But I've got my favorite. Again, what's my background? So I'm the CEO of Orukka. Orukka is a smart payment ring where we allow people tap to pay. So if you have your ring on, we connect to 450 banks at the moment. You can tap to pay wherever you are. So this became important to me because obviously we deal with payments. I'm the CEO. I deal with payments regularly. But one of my customers actually approached me to tell me how grateful they are and how convenient it is for them to actually use our rings to pay for transport. That got me thinking, I should do this. I love public transport. We all love public transport. Maybe talk through that. For visitors, for anyone who wants to understand how public transport works in London, I can do this easy. So let's start. 1, cash. Okay, easy. Everyone believes in cash. Cash is king. If you're coming to want to withdraw cash, have cash around. Unfortunately, you can't really enjoy cash as you transport these days. It's gone. It's phased out. If you go into London and go to the underground or the trains or most of the places, they're not allowed. So that's one thing to watch out for. Make sure you have cash. Make sure you have alternative cash. And you could still use it to top up in places, which I will talk about. Cash is being phased out. But what can you use? So London, we have our undergrounds. That's key. That's important. It's one of the biggest, largest network and well engineered. Okay, it's been around since the 1800s. Southwark has been so it's been well engineered. It's one of the marvels of electric engineering. You're coming to London, you have to use the underground. Okay, it's beautiful. Maybe it needs a bit of maintenance these days, but it's important to make sure that that's there. So make sure you enjoy that. So we have the London underground, we have overground, okay, which is again it's like on the ground train. Just from the name. We also have the DLR. The DLR is a Docklands light rail. So it allows people to go from A to B. Again, a lot quicker than you usually do if you're going to drive. That's another point. And we also have the National Rail. So the National Rail is a bit of pay as you go. That's where the confusion comes in, right? So people need to understand what that means. So it's pay as you go in the sense that you have a traditional card, which I will talk about. The traditional card will not work in that. Okay, so that's the important thing to know, that the different payment methods, okay, are different across each public transport. So hopefully we'll try and simplify that on this video, okay? So I've talked about cash already. So cash generally is not being used, okay? Or maybe for topping up with your, at local retail stations is allowed. Some buses would allow cash. But the downside, I think, with cash is basically it has to be the exact change, okay? So bus drivers, train drivers, definitely, trains don't accept it. But most bus drivers from rural areas might accept it, but you need to have the exact change. So you better know exactly how much it is you need beforehand and make sure you have that exact change. That's the downside of cash. But the positives, again, I try and open my mind to this thing. I know I'm a fintech CEO, but the positives of cash is that it's you can rely on it. You know exactly where you are. No one's tracking you. So if for some reason you want to be secure and you don't want people to know where you are, I think cash is important there. So that's the advantage of cash, especially if you're that kind of security cautious person. But then the other side as well becomes then, okay, if that goes missing, okay, if you take the wrong transport, you're not getting a refund there. Okay, so that's the downside with cash. Let's go to the Oyster card. So Oyster card is what you use in London. You're going to need that if you're traveling around, mostly the underground, get good deals on that. You can also travel with, Oyster card across the buses as well. Some ferries in London would accept buses, the Oyster card as well. So you can buy an Oyster card. You can go into any shop store, so any corner store will sell you an Oyster card. And you can also go to just the undergrounds, any of the undergrounds on train stations will show you an Oyster card. And you need that as well if you need to use. Oyster card is £10. Okay, that's the downside. So you need to actually pay for the card itself, £10. And that gets refunded. Okay, what that means is a different conversation. And I know for a fact that I've lost 3 Oyster cards, and I've had to buy a new one. And I don't remember getting a refund. The point is it just takes forever. So be careful with things that are sold as refunds when you just can't get a refund. So that's one downside. So the Oyster card, you have to pay for it, and you might not get much. But the advantage of the Oyster card you get your caps. So if you have a daily cap, I think it's first London, and there's a cap of 890 per day. So if you pay anything over 890, traveling for free on the same card. So if you have an Oyster card and you tap into your Oyster card, so when you go into the train station, by the way, going to the train station, you have to tap in to your Oyster, and then make sure that you get the same card, that it's an Oyster card. Tap in. When you go out of the train station, you tap out again. That's how they come do it. They check how many stations you did, and that's how they come up with the amounts that they charge you as well. That's the other side then, right? Then what that means is at the end of the week, you know exactly where you've been. You don't want to be cracked. Know exactly where you've been, and more importantly, you get a discount over the course of the day, over the course of a week. So that's important. So Oyster card, I think, is very good, and we would recommend it as well, especially if you want convenience, if you want to be able to track your discounts, and make sure you get the right fares as well wherever you are. So that's one thing. And there's also the fact I talked about it being lost, right? So if you lose your Oyster card, you could get it replaced. So that's something that is important as well. And you also can get some discounts as well. So if you're a child, the Oyster card is cheaper, especially for journeys. So if you're going to apply coming to London, you can get a discount on the Oyster card, and then that helps you then. So that's the advantage, okay? Here's the downside. Sorry, something just got in my. The downside of that now becomes the Oyster card. There's cash on it. There's nothing you can do with it. So the Oyster card is a closed loop system. So what that means then is, then from a payments perspective, if you work in payments, you know what I mean here. If not, a closed loop system means that you can make a payment within a system. That means when you top up and pay your £50 cash into an Oyster card, you get £50 worth of credits, but it's not cash. Like you can't do anything with it. So if you spend only 45, you're not going to ask for £5 back. There's residual cash that's left there. So you have to use all your cash, or you have to go through a painstaking process of converting that back from Oyster credits to your cash. Okay, so that downside is what you need to watch out for, right? So make sure that if you want to go into London, if you're using London, you use your card all the way to a T, okay? If not, then, you're going to lose that money. So that's something to watch out for, okay? So I've talked about closed loop. The open loop now becomes your bank card. So you can also pay with your bank card if you have a debit card, credit card, Oyster, JCB, Union Pay, any of those cards. As long as they have a wireless card, you can tap in, tap out as well. So you can go into any train station, any bus, any underground, overground, DLR. You just tap with your current card. Okay, I think I've got a card with you here. So you tap in with your card and you go through. Okay. So your card again has to have a logo on it. So you see here, this has a logo on it on the top here. So it's almost like a Wi-Fi. You make sure that logo is there, and you make sure you tap for that payment. Okay, that's easy. That's straightforward. Again, the advantage of that becomes you don't have to preload it with anything. Okay, it's your card. You're using it daily. You tap in wherever you are. As long as you see the wireless logo, which is on all public transport in London, you can tap to pay and go where you go. That's the positives. Okay, let's talk about the negatives. The negatives, which you need to watch out for, is if you tap with this card. So I showed you this card at the start, right? If you tap with this card, you must tap out with the same card. So there's what's called a clash card, or card clash in London. So what that means is if you do the mistake of tapping with this card and then you tap with another card, it's seen as two transactions. So you'll be paying for both, be charged for both. So you need to make sure you tap with the same card that you tapped in and tapped out with. Has to be the same card. No mistake there. If you do that, then you're fine. If not, that becomes a problem. So that's something to watch out for, right? So, the clash of cards is a big issue. Happens to me a lot, I can tell you. So especially if you're traveling for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I mean, this is my wallet I can show you, right? So look at all the wallets, look at all the cards I've got there. So sometimes I forget which card I tapped in with, and I forget which card I've tapped out with. This happens to a lot of people. If it happens to you, just say something in the comments here as well. That's a pain for a lot of people. And you lose money as a result. Again, you can always apply for a discount. People do that, but I can tell you it's a pain to do. Number one, the forms to fill is something else. You also have to remember exactly what the journey was, and then I think they ask you to wait 3 days as well, and then it takes weeks as well to get a refund. At the end of this, it could be £2, $3, which you're like, well, is it worth it? Depending on how rich you are, how tight you are as well. So that's something to watch out for. Just the card clash by using your debit card. Okay, but the advantage obviously is that you can tap in and tap out. Just go in, you tap, and you pay. That's it, no problem. So that's something to watch out for. Now let's talk about the again, apart from the card clash, the fact that it works everywhere. I think that's the advantage. And the other advantage as well is that you don't have to sign up. Okay, with Oyster you have to sign up for something. You have to sign up for where you're going, and with the cards you don't need to. So that's the advantage there. Okay. But again, downside, make sure it's the right card. And then theft. Okay. So I'll talk about it. So I showed you this, right? So anyway, I'm the CEO of Orukka, so I don't use my cards or don't go out with this. But if you walked around with this in the London underground, there's a risk there. Okay. So if you've looked online, you can see phone theft. Just search phone theft on YouTube. You're going to see a lot of this and wallet theft. So if you carry this around, you put this in your pocket, okay, it's open, it's bulky, so people can see it and they can rob you. That's something to watch out for. This is a city, the 9 million people, right? So of 9 million people, I'm sure one of them is a thief. So that's something to watch out for. There are bad people in this world. Walking out with a huge bulky wallet, almost 12 cards is a risk. We're calling yourself out there, especially when you bring out the card. And let's not forget the time comes, unless you have the card ready to go as well. But even then, put it back in your bag and make sure it's safe. But that's something. Security is an issue, I think, in London, across the world as well, by the way, not just London. But it's an issue in London if you carry this weight, massive card around. What can show to everyone. And then there's also scheming as well. So scheming is basically where someone shows up with a POS terminal and then they put the card close to you. So to put the terminal, they can do this, right? They put the card and take that close to you such that it takes some money from your card. Okay. You can search this as well on YouTube, which, a lot of pranksters do it these days. It's not funny at all, but that's something to watch out for. So it happens in London. And so that if you walk around with your card, okay, and your wallet, especially if you don't have an RFID blocking card, and what will happen is they could tap and take money from your card. So that's something to watch out for. Okay. Then let's talk about second to the last, then is the ring, is the payment. So you can pay with your phone or your watch. Okay. Paying with your phone and watch, again, is similar to the card. You have to tap in and you tap out. Simply go in with your card or cash or whatever is in it, and the Apple Pay or Google Pay, you can tap on a turnstile. Takes the amount that you need to go. That's it. Straightforward, is easy. There's no need to sign up. Okay. So that means as long as you have cash in your bank and you set the preferred card, okay, it goes through, not a problem in London. Okay. So that's cool. That's something you can use. The only downside I think with this as well is obviously your battery. So I'm recording this now. I can tell you I only have 10% battery left. Okay. On this phone, I have 5% battery left because the whole day is gone, right? You use it on phone calls, you listen to music, you watch YouTube, and then you get out and then you're out of battery. So that's something to watch out for. The battery is an issue. If you have a watch, that helps as well because with the watch, you could tap to pay. The downside of the watch, I said already, is you're tapping to pay. Number one, it's risky. People still can tap and take money from you. The other side as well is just the battery as well. So batteries go on your phone and your watch. So that's something. If you're a tourist, I think that's a problem already. You know yourself. You need to know where you're going. So you need that network or that connection. So that's something to watch out for. And the last way to pay, obviously, is our rings. So with this, again, this is a contactless payment ring. It's secure. Okay. It doesn't need a battery. So it's similar to your card. It's similar to your phone. You can tap at any turnstile, and when you see the wireless chip, just tapping your knuckle. So you go this way, tap to pay. It's straightforward. I don't want to go too much into it because obviously I'm the CEO. I love it so much. Number one is stylish. Okay, let's not talk about that. I think the advantage is basically the convenience. Okay, you can't go wrong with this. So you're walking around with this. You're not going to forget your wallet. When you have a ring on, you're not going to forget your phone. The battery is not going to go because this is on. Also from the cost point of view as well, obviously this is cheap. You can use the cash everywhere. So unlike your Oyster or your other Metro cards or anything like that, you don't need the cash on this. You can spend it everywhere. So it's not a closed loop system. It's cash. Okay, so you can actually spend it everywhere, which I think is the coolest thing with our rings, apart from the style and the convenience. And people argue about the Apple, you can use Apple on your phone. Yes, you can. But again, like I said, the battery goes. There's also the clash of cards as well, right? So if you have several cards on your phone, okay, what you need to do is make sure that you're making sure you're using the right card. Because if you tap with one card and then use your phone with the other card, it clashes and it can cost you twice. So that's a concern that people always have, apart from the battery, by using your phone. But with the ring, I think you can tap and pay with your ring across London, wherever you are. Again, as long as there's Wi-Fi, there's wireless. Sorry, no Wi-Fi. As long as there's wireless, you can tap to pay across London, wherever you're on. So there you go. Those are 5 ways, okay? In order of priorities. Needless to say, cash is the least convenient, is also the least secure, and from a time point of view, I wouldn't recommend it. Oyster card is also good as well, but from my point of view, if you're a tourist or if you're traveling one time, you definitely don't need an Oyster card because it's just there. You're going to lose it at some point, and then the money's gone. Okay. And then lastly, then, we recommend our rings, because our rings you can simply tap to pay across London. And then you go out and buy your coffee, you could buy around. So basically, you don't need your wallet or your phones if you have this and you're traveling across London. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. And I'll catch you in the next one. Any questions, just let us know. I'm going to put links on London. I'm going to put links on getting the Oyster card if you choose to. And I'll give you links as well on how to order our rings. Okay. I think it actually comes from £1 these days, which is next to nothing compared to any of the Oyster card or transport. So order now and join us. Take care.